I'm wondering how much you anticipate that the reverberations will continue over the next several sessions, both in the US and abroad, where most of your stocks are located.
Well, thank you, Vonnie. I work with an incredible team, very talented group of portfolio managers. And as for stock markets, this is what they do. They're supposed to be volatile. We went through a very unusual period of extremely low volatility. So I think this is the norm. Should expect more volatility because central banks, especially the Fed, are now in a very different mode of taking some of that excess liquidity off the table.
Where will the pockets of liquidity manifest themselves, Sarah?
Well, they've already manifested themselves, Vonnie, in inflated asset prices. And the key for us as portfolio managers in our fund and with what we do for our institutional clients is to find companies that we believe are resilient, that even as valuations might recede, as there is less money in circulation, and asset prices no longer have that upward momentum caused by all that expansion of money supply, we're finding companies that are in the process of restructuring their own businesses, making them even more efficient and more profitable.
Sarah, can you give us an example of a few of these companies?
Yes, well, the much beleaguered or maligned Volkswagen is one of them. It's the largest holding we have in our fundamentally managed strategies, international equity and global equity. And this company that has used a crisis in order to effect significant change, cost-cutting, being much more efficient. For example, going from, for the Golf, one of their vehicles, to go from 117 steering wheels to 40. I know 40 still sounds like a lot.
Sarah, let's listen to the ABB chief executive, Ulrich Spiesshofer, who spoke to us here on Bloomberg Television, because I know that ABB is also one of your holdings. Let's listen to this first.
Now, look, first, we take any shareholder very serious. Savion has deployed a lot of capital in ABB, so we're looking to have a constructive dialogue. We have now Lars Furberg, one of the two founders, on the board, and we got a good constructive relationship on that.
Sarah, he was talking about Savion, of course, the activist investor that wants a breakup of the company. Can Spiesshofer raise the profitability of the troubled power grids division to ensure he doesn't need to break up the company, or will he have to succumb to Savion's wishes? What side are you on?
Well, we're always on the side of shareholders, and what's best for shareholders is should be where companies are heading. In the case of ABB, we think they've done an excellent job and will continue to do well for shareholders. Think about this company being such a leader in robotics and industrial automation, being involved in electricity, efficiency. They and Schneider Electric, a French-based company we have in our portfolio, or French-listed, they're involved in electric vehicle infrastructure, which is going to be huge. So the growth prospects for the likes of ABB and others in this industrial arena are very favorable.
Sarah, where else are you looking, and particularly as we see a lot of currency fluctuations, does that materially impact what countries, for example, that you look at companies in?
Well, currencies will fluctuate, no doubt about it, and preferably, at least for our dollar-based investors, such as in our mutual funds, we'd like to own companies that have some sort of internal hedge, where if it turns out that their home currencies are going to weaken, at least the companies will see a benefit. Perhaps they're U.S. dollar earners. And that's very typical. For example, in oil and gas stocks, it's very effective when dollar strengthens. So we can kind of get around currency fluctuations that way, but I can promise you, just like the stock markets, they will fluctuate, and there's no avoiding it.
You're obviously invested in Germany, where there's some turmoil. China Mobile is another place where you're invested, and some energy types of companies as well, like Engie. Why Engie?
If you're going to be in utilities, you want to be in the cheapest ones with the best restructuring potential, and Engie is in that category. Again, another French listed company. operates globally. They also have they have an energy efficiency business too, but it's the distribution transmission businesses that they're operating effectively. They have a large regulated business, good dividend, and part of the portfolio, if you're going to be a sensible manager, you want to make sure you've got some ballast in the event there is increasing levels of volatility. Some of these stocks should be in the portfolio in part for return, but also just to provide stability of return and income, and I would put Engie in that category.
And you're not concerned at all about labour reforms in France, for example, impacting that stock to a great extent?
Perhaps, but that's what our job as analysts, to include the risks of such fundamental concerns as labor reform in the discount rate we use on the stream of cash flow the stock should generate, and or thinking about it as a lower multiple we're willing to pay for the stock. So that's what we get paid to do, is decide what those risks are and how significant they are and put them in the valuation.